Yep. Well, again, good to see you guys here. Appreciate you being here. We've had a tough stretch in September. Played 3 really good teams in a row. And the outcomes were not exactly what we wanted them to be. Some of them may have been probably what was expected if you looked at the very beginning of the year. But we're hitting a new month. We're hitting a stretch of games that I feel like that we can compete very well in. And the big thing with us is our guys just have to keep their confidence high. Continue to work on the things that have plagued us in some of these ball games that we played against some very tough opponents, and just continue to work on doing our job each and every play. And if we're able to do that, we'll have us a successful season. I still really believe we got a good football team. I told the guys yesterday, we're not changing anything that we're doing. The bottom line is we got to do what we do and do it better. And if we're able to do that, hopefully we can get on a roll here starting this week versus Tennessee Tech. Any questions?
Coach, just talk specifically about having trouble against the read option against Jacksonville State Saturday, Jenkins and James, and that trouble there.
Well, I mean, again, their offensive line is very good, and James is one of the best running backs in the league, and we knew that he was going to be difficult to tackle. But going into the game, the biggest concern we had was Jenkins. I mean, we felt like he was the guy that you had to control in order to be able to slow their attack down. And they had a good scheme that we had not seen that gave us some problems early on in the ball game. At halftime, we made some adjustments, and some of those plays didn't go for very many yards after we were able to figure out exactly what they were doing. But on a couple of his runs, the guy assigned to the quarterback just got squeezed down in too tight, and basically wasn't playing proper technique. And that's what we talked about earlier. And everybody's got to do their job. And we're not good enough for guys to get in the wrong gap and somebody make up for that. And that gave us some problems. Very disappointing that they were able to get some of the runs that they got. But again, if you look around, they kind of do that to everybody they play too.
And you've had trouble with your own running game. Just talk about some of the trouble in your own running game on Saturday specifically.
Well, the first game we ran it good. Louisville, we didn't run it very good. Western Michigan, we didn't run it very good, and we didn't run it very good against Jacksonville State. A lot of it had to do with we played 3 pretty good defensive lines.
Okay. You mentioned that there were areas in which you needed to improve going forward. What are those areas?
Well, I think the first thing defensively, we got to be more conscious in the gaps that we're supposed to play and play the technique properly, and then once we're there, we got to make the play. I watch the film every Sunday and whatnot, and we got guys that like I said aren't doing their job properly. We got a quarterback player every play, and that guy's trying to jump in there and tackle the dive, and that's not his play. And then we got some other guys that are right there to make the play and in good position, but aren't getting the guy down quick enough. So we got to be more conscious in doing our job on the defensive side. I think that's imperative. And then offensively, we've kind of gotten whether we're either trying to run it right up the middle or chunk it down the field, and we really haven't gotten any of that in between stuff to keep the defenses off balance. Now, saying all that stuff, okay, again, you get to the point, and I was very honest with our team yesterday about this, okay. Look at the 3 teams we played. Okay, we played Louisville, we played Western Michigan, and then we played the 8th-ranked team in the country. And at the end of the day, I'll sit here and tell you, Jacksonville State was a better team than we were. The score shows it. We did offensively. Well, one half we played really well against them. Second half we didn't. Defensively, the first half we played poorly. Second half we held them 17 points. But they're a good football team. they're the best team that I think they're better than Western Michigan. They're one of the best teams that we'll play all season. So the things that we are doing on defense, wonder when we start playing guys that are equal talent to us, will some of those things clean themselves up? I hope so. Don't know. You know what I mean? Because we ain't played anybody equal talent to us yet. Offensively, some of the things that we're doing in the run game, what happens when we start playing guys that are equal talent than us? Well, that cleans some of that up. So you're kind of in a catch-22. You got to make adjustments each and every week there, Will. But at the end of the day, I got to see us play some teams that we're going to be out there on even footing with, and then I can kind of give you a better gauge of how we stack up in a lot of those areas.
In the second half, first half, Katie Humphreys had plenty of time, good decisions made, but in the second half, that time dwindled. They seemed to put a lot more pressure on it. Now that you've looked at the film, what kind of adjustments did they make defensively on what you were doing?
Well, the honest answer to you there, Neil, which I try to be honest with you all the time, and I'm going to kind of go around the question and get to it at the end, okay?
Okay.
And I always hate to go back, but when I was at Valdosta State, we won a whole bunch of games in a row. And we'd go out there sometimes and we'd piddle around in the first half, game be close, and then second half, our guys would say, all right, it's time to put them away. And that's what Jacksonville State did to us Saturday night. I think they felt like they were piddling around enough on defense, and the second half, they didn't change what they do. They just did it a little bit harder. And then we got a little bit behind and had to become a little more one-dimensional, and then they just pinned their old ears back and came after us, and we couldn't handle the 4 or 5 man pressures, and they started bringing safeties and things they'd done earlier that we were able to hit them for some big plays, but they just kind of overtook us on the front line, and that was something I told you all week I was concerned about. I mean, they got a great defensive line, and they just kind of outmanned us there in the second half.
Tell us about Tennessee Tech. I know they use the supposed 2-quarterback system. Is that a fancy name for something else? Is it a legit 2-quarterback system? Tell us what you see on film.
Well, I haven't been able to watch them that much offensively yet. I actually do that after the press conference here. I better give you a little bit more of that on the show tonight. But they're going to try to do a lot of things. They're like us, try to get your best players on the field. Watson Brown's always had a great offense, and again, a little bit of the Wildcat, a little bit the other guy's he's just a good athlete. Let's get him on the field, try to get him the ball. I don't know enough about what they're doing yet to comment any more than that.
How interesting, surprising, shocking, ironic, truthful is it that 4 weeks into the season, you guys probably still don't know your identity yet?
Well, I mean, it's you look at the schedule. I mean, it is what it is. I do. I think we got a good team. I'll be honest with you. I really do. I think we got a really good team. But again, we got to go out and we got to, we got to play some teams that are like us. And this week will give us a very good indication of that.
Coach, with you losing 22 lettermen, who are some of the younger guys that you've had to insert and have, you quote, wanted to wear red shirt but haven't been able to, that have really stepped up and started to play like you've needed them to?
Well, again, we're seeing glimpses of guys that are playing well. For 60 minutes, it's been very difficult the past weeks to hold up the entire ball game with the type of talent that we've been playing. I think that Demontre Wade's been playing really well. He got beat on a couple deep balls the other day, but one of them was kind of a freshman mistake, and the other one was we were just trying to make a play to stay in the ball game. I think he's been doing some good things. Bishop Woods and Troy Marshall, 2 defensive linemen that have been they're true freshmen that were guys that you'd really like to give them a year in the weight room and acclimate to the college game, but I tell you, I've been really pleased with them. They get mashed some. I mean, they get the hat handed to them in there, but boy, they play hard and play with a chip on their shoulder. So I feel really good about those 2 guys that they've been performing at a very high level. And pretty much that's where most of the young players are playing right now on the defensive side of the ball.
Talk to me a little bit about what is it going to take for you guys to hand Watson Brown his 201st loss this weekend?
Well, I think we got to do a better job of stopping the run. Okay, I mean, there's no question. The other night they were running it at will, and when you can do that, that also means you can throw it at will. And so we got to make them one-dimensional, and we got to better stop the run, and then we got to better run the ball when we want to. And I think that's what it boils down to. Can we do those two things? And we haven't been able to do them the past 3 weeks. Sometimes it's been us, and then sometimes it's just been that the other front was a little better than our front. So that's the big key to me, not only this week, but every week moving forward. You win games by stopping the run, and you win games by running when you want to. And I say that because you know how much I like to throw the ball. You still got to better run it when you want to run it.
Talk to me a little bit about Katie Humphrey's development after his half against Louisville. He's been pretty much on a roll. His first mistake this last weekend, that interception late in the third quarter. What are you seeing out of him, and what do you expect to see out of him this weekend?
He was pretty disappointed in his play, which I like a guy that's hard on himself in those situations. But I thought he played a great game. I thought the first half that the reason we were able to score 28 points was his ability to elude the rush. I mean, there was a bunch of times he extended drives just by stepping out of pressure. Thought he played a really good game. Yeah, he forced the ball there in the end of the third quarter. At that time we were kind of in desperation mode. We needed a play to get back in the game. But I think he's playing at a very high level right now. And we just got to get some run game to go along with him.
And just talk about the game in the aspect of two teams playing pretty much the same schedule, both trying to get their first conference win. You guys just happen to have to do it on the road, which is always a tough thing to do.
Yeah, well, I looked at their stats and all the teams they played. I mean, two very similar teams that are going against each other. As far as the results early in the year, they played a heck of a schedule up to this point as well. So I'm sure they're kind of in our boat. They're licking their wounds a little bit. Maybe I can't speak for them, but I'm sure they're trying to make sure their boys are still confident, which I believe our guys are. It's going to be a tough game, tough place to play. Anytime you travel, it's a night game. I'm sure they're going to have a big crowd. They traditionally do, and they're a very well coached football team. So we're just like every OVC game, we're expecting a battle as we head to Cookeville.
And while you're having some trouble defensively, Jonathan and Travis, they're at least putting up some numbers, and they're making the tackles. They're making a lot of plays for your defense.
Well, they are, and both of those guys are good players, and they're still making some mistakes. They're sometimes I think they try to do a little too much, but it just kind of shows you how we're having to build our defense right now with our lack of depth on the inside. We're trying to get everything pushed to Jonathan and to Travis. So they got to continue to make a bunch of tackles in order for us to win.
Health-wise, Demetrius Mason, update on him, and also perhaps anything else from this past game.
Well, he actually sees the doctor today, so we'll know more tonight or first thing in the morning whether he's going to be cleared to play. I really hope he is. That would be a huge boost to our defensive line. Drew Kelly as of right now he's out. That's our starting left tackle, and that's almost detrimental as losing a defensive lineman, maybe more so. But we'll have to wait and see. It's not a serious injury, but we will wait and see how that turns out. And Jalen Harrington, hopefully we'll get him back this week. And I believe that as of right now, that's all that I think that are on the bubble. Everybody else should be ready to go.
There were a few areas where you had significant turnover. On the defense, and then I believe also at wide receiver. How do you think those areas are coming along? How are the new guys doing?
Well, I think the receivers, we'll start with them. I think they're playing well right now. We've dropped a few balls, especially against Western Michigan, but we throw it out there, they're doing good. We got to do a better job of getting the ball to Jesse Blackburn. There's a player that we just hadn't had much production early in the year, so we got to find a way to get it to him. But I think the receivers are playing at a fairly high level. Defensively, the defensive backs, I mean, that's where we took the biggest blow. We got out there right now, Demontre Wade, who's been playing well, Spraggins and back there, Boone, Sean Samuels, all those guys I think they're good athletes, but they're all new players, new system, new speed of the game. And it's shown sometimes. Said Jones back there. I mean, we made some costly errors in alignment back there and how you fit different plays and whatnot. But on the flip side, we've made some good plays back there. So time for them to grow up. Time for them to go out there and perform at a little bit higher level as we move forward.
You mentioned team confidence. How's the attitude coming this week? How do you think they feel going into the weekend?
Well, they're disappointed. I mean, they are disappointed in the way it's transpired up to this point. But I think their confidence is, I mean, it's going to be high tomorrow. I mean, they need a day or so to get over it, and that's the reason we take a few days off. But, I expect us to be ready to go. I do. I mean, listen, if you guys lived in Las Vegas, all right, and I know you're Racer fans, okay? And at the beginning, and I say Las Vegas because it's legal out there, all right? But if you're out there in Las Vegas and starting the season, I mean, who would you have bet on? What would you have bet our record would be at this time? Knowing how many new players we got to play and knowing the schedule that we got. Huh? 1-3. I mean, you would now, again, and I'd explain that to our team in a way that, hey, now the other day, boy, if we play, we played the second half offensively like we did the first half, played the whole game defensively like we did the second half, hey, anything can happen. But that night they were better than us. And, of course, I mean, that's the score shows that. So, I mean, it is what it is. We are where we are. I look at us, we're an 0-1 football team right now. No need to panic. I mean, we played 2 FBS teams, number 8 team ranked in the country. Hey, we're going to be fine, but we got to keep our confidence. We got to get better at the things that I've mentioned in this press conference. And what I'm telling you, our players know that. I mean, it has been clearly defined for them on what it's going to take for us to have a good football team moving forward.
How would you evaluate your running backs' play so far?
I think they've been playing really well. They haven't had a whole lot of room to work inside, but boy, they have been running hard. They've done a good job picking up the blitz. They've caught the ball well out of the backfield. Pokey Harris had a great game the other night. Marcus Holliday has been playing really solid. Until Roman got hurt, he's been playing solid. Nick Taylor's he's a good change of pace back for us. But I mean, I think they play well. I mean, they're right now playing at a high level. Especially Pokey had 2 touchdowns. I mean, the first one he had, that was awesome. Ran the guy over on the sideline, scored, caught him a touchdown on 4th and 1, and then the hidden plays with those guys. I mean, if you watch Pokey, how fast he hits the kick returns, he's going to break one before too long. And then, look at the play at the end of the half when they had the punt or the kickoff return that they almost scored on. I mean, he ran the guy down from all the way on the other side of the field. So those guys are winners, just like the rest of our team. I really believe we got a bunch of winners on the team. And if winners focus on doing the little things and focus on the process, the outcome will take care of itself, and that's what we're continuing to stress.